Now we have our interface instance is connecting to our data archive, grabbing some tags, connecting to our data source, our OPC server, and getting the data it needs and sending it through and saving that data in the PyData archive. And on the screen now, we've got our two tags. So we have our bearing temperature and status. Now we're going to make a whole lot more tags, but we're not going to do it one by one with system management tools. We're going to use PyBuilder to do this. PyBuilder is a plugin to Microsoft Excel. Now, usually when you're doing this in real life, you will get an export from the DCS or from the OPC server. This will be a big spreadsheet with a huge list of tags. Now we're going to take a look at what one of those might look like, and then convert that to a format that the PyData archive understands, and then we're going to import them. So let's minimize system management tools here. Open up exercise files, and tag export from DCS. Now, the export you get might have a whole lot more columns in this, but this is a slightly simplified example. But we see some column headers here, all of the tags on the DCS side, or item IDs, a lot of the OPC servers will call them. They have a description, unit of measure, etc. Now let's take a look at what the data archive calls all of these columns. The easiest way to do that is import the tags that we already know work. So let's make a new tab, and then go up here to PyBuilder. Make sure you've got PySRV01 selected as your data archive, and then click on PyPoints, find PyPoints. We're going to expand out our search terms, and then type in OPC as the point source, and search for all points with the point source of OPC. We found 2, which we expect. Let's go OK. Now we choose the columns we want to import. Now the golden rule here is only import the columns that you need and nothing more. Any extra columns you import just adds more complexity and there's more chances to make mistakes. So let's clear all, and then only import the columns that we changed when we were creating these tags in the first place. So when we created these tags, we edited the name, which is required anyway, the description, the engineering units, the digital stat for the digital tag, point type, point source, instrument tag, all of our location codes, and the data security. We're going to add in another couple of columns here because I took a little sneak peek, and in our OPC sheet we actually have a minimum and a maximum. The PyData archives version of that is 0 and span. So we'll import those as well. And OK. So here we see what the PySystem calls all of these columns. So the exercise here is to look at what we've got in the OPC export, and then try to massage this until we get something that looks a little bit like what we need to import back into Py. So we know these two tags work. We can copy and paste everything we need from one sheet to the other. So here, I'm going to quickly speed up the video. I'll copy and paste everything that needs to be copied over, and then we'll take a look. Okay, so I've copied and pasted over the columns where I think they fit. The description's fairly straightforward. Engineering units I copied and pasted over as well. The point types, there's something we need to fix in here in that I see the tags that I have that already exist. I've got float32 and digital. The OPC server puts this as integer. We're actually going to change that to digital. And we'll fill that down. We also see we need a digital set. There we go. I'll fill that down too. All right, next up is the span and the 0. Note that we had minimum and maximum in the OPC export. That's usually what you'll see. In the PyData archive, we have 0 and span. Our 0 means the same as minimum would in the OPC server, but span is actually the difference between the maximum and the minimum. And everything else looks pretty good. We just need to copy them down. So we can fill in the point source, and we can fill in all of these location codes and data security. We need our object type filled down, and we need our selected filled down. Okay, the next thing that I've noticed is that we've got the bearing temperature of pump 1 here, and we've got it duplicated here. We've also got the status duplicated because we already have it existing, and it existed in our export. So I'm just going to remove the rows that are duplicated. And there we go. The next thing to do is our tag names. So we've got the bearing temperature and status here. We're going to follow the same tag naming convention. Note that when I copied over all of the names from the other spreadsheet, I didn't copy them into the name column. I copied them into the instrument tag column, because the instrument tag is the name of the tag on the OPC server. The name column will correspond to the name of the tag on the PyData archive, which might be different. The easiest way to move these over and change their naming convention is to copy them all. And then Control F and replace sample process slash with nothing. And then slash with dot. Make sure you still have everything selected when you're doing these find and replaces. We don't want to replace the sample process or the slashes in our instrument tags. Let's click up on the Publish button. So this will export our configuration from the spreadsheet up to the data archive. We've got a few modes here. There's create and edit mode, create only and edit only. I urge you to only use the create only and edit only modes. Create and edit, it's a trap. Most of the time you don't want to both create new tags and edit old tags in the same operation. You just want to do one or the other. Here, we just want to create new tags. We don't want to edit any old tags. And okay. We get an error. That's actually expected. I selected create only, and it says that pump1.bearingtemp already exists. That's because we imported it. That's fine. I'm going to go continue there. And our status also already exists. Let's continue there as well. Let's close this. Let's open System Management Tools and see how they look. And let's do a tag search. Let's search for all tags with a point source of OPC. And we see a lot more tags now. Let's select all, and OK. All these look fantastic. They're all getting data. It's all good. Now there's one thing that's irking me a little bit. We've got our pump1.bearingtemp and status here, and the capitalization isn't the same. Let's go and fix that. One thing with the PyData archive is you can edit tag names. Tags are identified by a unique identifier. Their name is just another attribute. One thing is your users might be using the tag names explicitly in some of their displays, and they may break, but there's nothing wrong with renaming a tag other than that. So we could rename the tag down in Point Builder by finding it, right-clicking on it, and renaming it, or we can use Excel to do the same. Let's go back to our tag export from DCS, and let's clear the selected column. Deselect all. Now we're only going to perform an operation on the first two. So let's put an X in those. Then we're going to add a new column. If we just change the name here, then if we just change the name here, nothing will happen. Or the PyData archive will think we're making a new tag. We don't want that. We can add in another column here called new name. Then we can capitalize these properly. And then we can publish. This time we don't want create only mode because we're editing tags. We're not making new tags. So we're going to change this to edit only and then OK.